So now that you've gone through a few levels of grounding, breathing, movement, we're now getting closer. We're getting closer to the development, to really reaching the end of the development process, whether it's a single goal, better posture, more comfort in sitting positions, more balance in your walking or running, and so on. Or the ultimate goal, you want to get through all 34 of the old school exercises, or you just want to achieve one particular exercise really well, the 100, the roll-up, the rollover. You just follow the same process all the time. It's going to get you there. So now we're at strength. Now that we've really set up stability, flexibility, how to get there, how to make the most of the ground, and how to make this into a practice where you're going over those 3 points over and over again. Find the ground. Connect with your breath. Feel your movement. Find the ground. Connect with your breath. Feel your movement. In whatever position you're in, we can work on strength. So here's a couple of exercises that really challenge your strength. And we're going to challenge back strength, we're going to challenge arm strength, and we're really going to challenge full body strength. But I'm going to start with the back strength. So most people have a really, really big, an exaggerated imbalance in back extension, which is bending backwards. So most people tend to only bend from here and here. In the legs, it's the center of the hamstrings, center of the calves, which you can probably recognize as the spots that you tend to cramp and get charley horses when you do certain movements. That's all on account of lack of stability and lack of uniform muscular activation, lack of balanced muscular activation. All of those things are really what we experience as instability, inflexibility. So once we have set ourselves up on the ground, we're centered, we're stable, we've released, so on and so on and so on, we're free to then focus on big, full body, powerful, strengthening motions. The swan really strengthens the entire back of your powerful extensors. So I'm going to start just like you're directed to in Joseph Pilates' book, Return to Life Food. Follow me. Placing my forehead down on the mat, arms down by my sides, palms up, feet together in old school, feet forward, toes downward. Even though I'm not on my back, it's still the same. This is feet forward, toes downward. So now that I have that under control, I'm going to relax a little bit and really just feel the support of the ground. Once it's stable and I feel centered, I'm going to build myself back up and get my shoulders to really open up in the front by widening my collarbones and letting my shoulder blades come together, pushing on the ground just a little bit to really shore up that engagement. That helps me to find and engage the muscles of my rib cage. It's going down through my inner thighs, and now my legs are rising. I'm going to inhale one more time, and then I'm going to exhale to make sure that I have those extensors connected evenly from underneath my toes to the back of my head. And here I go, inhaling. Exhaling. And then back. You only do 3 of those. It's not very much at all, but as you can see, I had the entire back of my body engaged. From my toes to the back of my head and my arms, the muscles between the shoulder blades really engaged. That's a pretty big exercise. So if you have back problems, severe issues with your low back, issues with your neck, super tight calves, super tight hamstrings, you're going to want to ease into this exercise. You're really not going to want to just throw yourself full force into it because you may get injured. So there are some really simple preps that you can do. And one of them is just bringing your arms right here in this position and simply trying to raise up. Inhaling. Should try to feel like getting a sense of using the upper back muscles nice and uniformly, and not just at the low back. With your legs, just raising one at a time, all the way from the hip. So I'm really using my butt right here, as opposed to arching my back and just doing something like this, shortened to the side. Instead I'm reaching long, I'm just giving myself an old school leg, that's all. And trying to lift from here down and leave the rest of this alone. So I'm going to inhale. And I'm keeping my head down because I really want to avoid starting with a lot of bend in my low back. I want it to be nice and loose and as flat as possible. So those are a couple of bits that you can do instead of doing swan. But then there are the leg pulls. And that's going to now challenge you to be able to use that full line of extension along with the full line of flexion, not only in the front of your body, your abdominals and so on, but in the front of the spine, that full line of core musculature that goes straight down through your body. So, start with the leg pull here. You want to begin heels stretched out, arms right here beside you. Think of that exercise that we just did. Arms thrown back, nice and open and wide. Chest nice and open. Collarbones nice and open. Body nice and long and really engaged evenly. Not just by arching the back something like this, but nice and long, yet still very strong. I'm really pressing my legs back, once again, just like swan, as if I were attempting to bend backwards completely. And I will do that as I inhale to rise into this position. And then exhale, raise one leg. Inhale, bring it down. Exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, right? So with those, once again, strength. What are we working on? We're working on really, really strong arms, but also a strong chest. Just because I'm not doing this doesn't mean I'm not strengthening my chest muscles. Most people have it in their minds that, different like weight machine exercises where you're just pressing the chest muscles into the front or pushing together as you push something forward, like in a push-up or a bench press, or, doing arm raising exercises that bring up the shoulders and roll them forward to tighten all this. That is one way to strengthen your chest muscles for a particular reason. But if we're looking for balance and postural support, then what we want to do is build the chest muscles in an open position so that you have options, you have range. You can go here, you can also go here, not just here, and then that's about it. So keep that in mind, that before you even go for the raising motion, that you have covered all the bits and pieces, that you're really serious about the ground, that you're serious about your breathing, and that you are serious about feeling your movement as you go up into this position, feeling your movement, your support, and your breathing as you raise one leg, and so on, pulling one leg back and the other one forward. It really covers everything. It's a great strengthening exercise. So those are a couple, and how does that tie into the rollover? When you're going through that rollover, on the back, on the return to the ground, you're using all of those back extensors. If not, what I typically see is everything here, and it looks like this. Because you're locked up in your back, in your neck, and it stops you from breathing, locking up your abdominals and pulling you forward. So keep that in mind when you are testing these out at home. Some of the more challenging exercises carry some amount of risk, so always be safe. Make sure that you are supported by the ground or the mat. Make sure that if you have certain injuries and you have or areas that are just too tight that they put you at a risk for injury, don't try to go through the full motion that you see in these videos. Take my advice and do some of the preps the way that I have you, the way that I suggest. Back off from the exercises that carry some amount of risk for your particular situation, and find a Pilates studio. Find a great Pilates instructor. If you happen to be in Seattle, come down and see us at B Pilates, West Seattle. We would be happy to take you through the process and introduce you to how the equipment really helps you to get there safely, no matter what state of body you're in.